talking about Adult Swim and Cartoon Network and anime again. As you already know, anime has had major setbacks in the last 3 years, at least on Cartoon Network. Now, many of you might be wondering this. Why the hell should anybody care? Most people get their anime from DVDs, off the internet, both legally and for other sources. So many of you are like, so why should we even care anymore? Well, here's why we should care, because one way or another, Cartoon Network did officially break the glass ceiling. I mean, before Cartoon Network and before Toonami, if you wanted anime, you had to get some third-generation bootleg copy of an anime. Believe me, I've talked to a lot of otakus who are older than me, who were there in the beginning in the 80s and 90s, where if they were really hardcore anime fans, you want to go it, you had to know some Japanese foreign exchange student to go get some for you. So they officially broke the glass ceiling and showed us, hey, there's another world out there that makes American cartoons look like nothing. This Toonami was literally the gateway, the stargate to another world full of this kind of things. And they stole that world from us. Instead, you're going to go back to watching American crap because that's the American thing to do. Anyway, for those of you watching Adult Swim 5 years ago, you may recall that Adult Swim always whined and complained that ratings for anime was low. And every time they took a gamble by either having an all-anime night, the ratings were terrible, whereas the comedy had extraordinarily high ratings. I mean, this is no shocker that Family Guy was a monster on the ratings, in so much that it resurrected the show. Seth MacFarlane, in fact, I remember this because I was in college at the time, Seth MacFarlane said in a newspaper article that he appreciated the fact that people on Cartoon Network appreciated his show Family Guy, but that he had no intention of continuing the show. Well, we all know how that turned out now, didn't we? The same thing happened with Futurama. It was on Fox, and then it just died off, and Matt Groening figured it was just a failure. But then it found its audience on the late night. And then, of course, it got brought back, and like Family Guy, it was shown on a different network. Now, anime has also had its major strides. Inuyasha was its #1 anime show at the time, and for the record, this is exactly what Cartoon Network has told me via email 4 years ago. It also did pretty well on some other animes, but they also did show some other animes that were pathetic in the ratings, and I hate to say this, in some small cases I can understand, because they kind of picked some boring animes. I'm not going to name names or anything. Now, it has been long thought that Keith Crawford and Mike Lazo were not fans of anime. And by the way, about 4 years ago when I was on Adult Swim board, you know the Adult Swim boards, where you type it in and sometimes occasionally, if you were really lucky, they'll actually show your name or they'll show your comment up. Remember those days? It'd be like this. Well, anyway, I emailed and talked a lot with some of Keith Crawford and Mike Lazo's assistants and so on. Finally, I got a solid message back on some of my questions, and what I got confirmed me. Keith Crawford and Mike Lazo are not anime fans at all. The only reason why they even put anime on Adult Swim in the first place was because originally it was, of course, replaced Toonami The Midnight Run, and because anime was quite a monster on Toonami and they had to continue the ratings and the fan base. However, Keith Crawford said that it was either Keith Crawford or Mike Lazo, I don't want to say which one, but their assistant told me in an email, and I quote, there was only 4 animes that they actually liked. You want to guess which animes they like? Alright, here are the animes they actually liked. It was Gigantor. Speed Racer. Milk-chan. And Shin-chan. And that's about it. I know some of you are like, that's it? No Full Metal Alchemist? Nope. No Code Geass? Nope. No Strike Witches? Nope. Those are the ones that like Gigantor? Really? But then I noticed, what is Shin-chan and Milk-chan? In fact, I'm not even making this up, and I vividly remember this. The person even told me in the email that said Keith Crawford was very annoyed and upset that the anime fans did not like Milk-chan, which is why it only ran for one showing and then it had to be pulled. Because Keith Crawford said that he liked Milk-chan because it was so hilarious. Now, in case you haven't noticed, that when anime is shown on Cartoon Network, they put it in a specific category under the quote-unquote action category. Well, they'll put Family Guy and Futurama. Oh, sorry, Futurama's not on there anymore. Boring, King of the Hill, and so on in the comedy category. Of course, the comedy category gets all the royal treatment these days. And they consider anime to be action only. Then it suddenly hit me. Wait a minute. Two of the animes that they only liked, Shin-chan and Milk-chan, they were comedy animes. That's when it hit me. That's where their prejudice of anime is coming from. They assume that all anime has to be these boring action dramas. They didn't even compute or come to the idea that there is also comedy animes. You fools! You fools, you are missing a golden opportunity for Adult Swim. A golden opportunity to have comedy animes. Combine the both. And you would get good ratings. You want me to make a suggestion? I'll give you a suggestion right now. And I think many of you already know what that suggestion is. Ranma 1/2. This would be perfect for Adult Swim. It's a comedy, it's an action, it's a romance, it's a drama, it's martial arts, it's all of the above, not to mention the fan service. And the nudity's very mild in Ranma 1/2, so I think they should show it. Or I show it at 1 or 2 in the morning to avoid the censors. Give it a TVMA rating for whenever Ranma shows his or her breasts or whatever. By the way, they just show TNA. And again, here's the thing that ticks me off. If I hear, no, we can't show Ranma 1/2, there's too much nudity. Oh. And the nudity in Family Guy doesn't count? Seeing Peter Griffin's big, giant, 300-pound ass? That's not nudity? Didn't we see Louis Griffin's ass in one episode? What about all the other? I've seen nudity lots of times on Adult Swim, and don't give me this crap you can't show Ranma 1/2 because of the nudity. But like I said, it's a comedy. What about Yurusai Yatsura? Another Rumiko Taka. Another thing about Ranma 1/2. It was made by the same creator as Inuyasha. So many Inuyasha fans will instantly fall in love with Ranma 1/2 and even see the comparisons. You fools at Adult Swim. Then there's also another one, Yurusai Yatsura. Have Funimation dub this in English, or if you really want to grow a pair, show this one in Japanese. You can show it on late at night, like 2:30 or 3 in the morning if you want to. But Yurusai Yatsura, that's another comedy anime. You don't have to put anime in this box and assume it's all boring. And by the way, that is exactly what the Cartoon Network assistants had told me. They told me that Keith Crawford and Mike Lazo thought anime was, quote, boring. I'll admit that some animes they put on, at least for a 2 in the morning thing, did seem kind of boring. I also want to mention and give thanks to one of the few Cartoon Network executives who have been very faithful and nice to anime, and that was Jim Samples, who was the former president of Cartoon Network. And from what I've been told, he was the one who gave us Toonami in the first place, and also was set the groundwork for Adult Swim. Unfortunately, he was fired. They say he resigns, but, come on, we all know how that goes. After the Aqua Teen Hunger Force bomb scare, also known as the Boston bomb scare. And yes, one of my viewers and fans pointed this out to me, and you are absolutely correct. Upon research, this has indeed turned out to be true. Due to the fact that Jim Samples was the president of Cartoon Network at the time, and due to the fact that Boston had a major bomb scare due to the fact they were trying to promote the live-action Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie, he had to pay for it. And ever since he left, Cartoon Network hasn't been the same. Well, instead of constantly, continuously complaining about what is on Cartoon Network and Adult Swim these days, how about we just talk about ways that we can improve it? So I want to do a really quick list right here. Now, many of you are like, okay, so what would I do to change things and fix things? Well, I'm glad you asked. These are top 6 ways Adult Swim can change for the better. Number 6. Don't do reruns all the time. During the second half of Adult Swim, don't show all reruns. I remember this a long time ago. Adult Swim would be on for like 6 hours sometimes. Sometimes it'd be on from 11 to 5 in the morning. The first 3 hours would be, programming, and then they'd just rerun for the next 3 hours. Why? Okay, if it's like a brand spanking new episode of Family Guy, or a brand new episode of Bleach, or a brand new episode of whatever, I can understand you rerunning that, but why do you have a 6-hour block and only half of it you're actually showing actual stuff? Quit rerunning. I gotta watch another hour of King of the Hill, the exact same episodes that I just saw 3 hours earlier? No. Put some fresh anime on late at night instead of some reruns. Like I said, you want to rerun a brand new episode of something? Fine, rerun brand new episodes when it's time for the rerun cycle. But the second half, show some different things. I also want to mention some breaking news. And that is that Cartoon Network has announced that Adult Swim is going to start an hour earlier. Oh, goody! More extra hour time for more live action or more boring old American cartoons? Or are you actually going to fit a little bit of anime in there?